folks. For everyone who's joined us, thank you for continuing to join us. This is Vector Conference. We are normally in person in Kentucky, but this year we're not for obvious reasons. We are online and in cyberspace, and this year we're pleased to be sponsored by a bunch of really great sponsors like I Need Diverse Games, the University of Kentucky Esports Program, and Super Soul Games. And one of our speakers this year is TJ Hughes, who, depending on which side is on one of these sides, who's an artist and developer out of St. Louis. Probably best known for making Nor. Yeah, that seems like a good guess.
It's pretty fair.
Pretty fair. So this is kind of like a fireside chat situation. We're just gonna have a chat about you, your creative process, what you do, things like that. So in your own words, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, so I'm TJ Hughes. I'm a 3D artist is kind of just what I generally say, just 3D artist. Game developer, kind of just a lot of things at once. But I would definitely highlight that I'm someone who likes to make decisions in 3D, put things together that are super colorful. I make experimental games, pretty much anything interactive and colorful is essentially what I do.
I mean, that's pretty cool. I went through like your FAQ page and like on just to like find questions for this, and there were mostly things about color and like your very good jacket.
Yeah.
Which was kind of fun.
Around when like things kind of blew up, I definitely had to make the like frequently asked questions page because I would get the same thing like, hey, where do you get that jacket? Or like, where can I start shopping for like cool stuff? And I'm just like, ooh, I barely discovered this stuff like a year ago. So I'm just like, well, here you go. Like, here's as much information as I can provide about it.
You have a good personal style.
Thank you.
Also in my creepy searching, I did sort of find out that like art is kind of like in your family, like your mother is also an artist.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's correct. She's a painter, so traditional artist. She works mostly in acrylic. She does collages. She does like charcoal, dry brush, like I don't know if I said watercolor already, like which that's something that I have no idea how she does. Like, how does anyone do watercolor? She's really good at what she does. Like actually fantastic, and I feel like I didn't realize that until kind of later in my life. I was just like, whoa, this kind of slaps. Like this art you're making, Mom, like this kind of wild right now.
So I guess that kind of also like leads into that next question, which is how does having an artist in your family have an impact on your own like artistic process?
Yeah, so kind of growing up around art, kind of just like made art not even be a question for me. Like it was just like so normal to me. It was just such a part of my life. Just to see my mom like painting, or just like yeah, just painting or doing any sort of like artistic thing. I was just kind of like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's just what people do, right? And like I didn't even realize at the time how much of a ripple effect that would kind of have. In that it would really just show me kind of, I don't know, it would just show me just like that this is such an option, that this is something you can do and you can really express yourself through it. So yeah, art has kind of never been a question for me. And also my dad, he was a jazz musician. May he rest in peace. He was super like supportive and always trying to get me into like music and like making me at least have an interest in music. And like and also like weird tech. Like he's the reason I got into like MIDI controllers and just like any sort of like gadgets and stuff. Like that was kind of him, kind of just like always going to his house and like just seeing like just his whole room was just tech everywhere. He would just like have a synthesizer rack. He would have just like random soldering irons and like breadboards and stuff just like sitting around. And yeah, I just didn't realize at the time how much of an impact all that would have in just like the things that I would kind of lean towards. It just kind of made sense to me. I like kind of just later on in life, I would just kind of be like, oh, I recognize that, or like, oh, like that is dope. I want to like find out more about that. Um, and yeah, it just was something that I just never realized how much of it have an influence on me.
And how did you start working like specifically in games? Because you're still pretty young, right? Not to be like you're
I
a
would say.
baby.
Oh no, it's I feel like I'm just getting out of that of just like always being the young person in the room at like game dev conferences and stuff. So I'm 24 now. And like just going to GDC when you're like 19 is just like such an experience. Like just like everyone's just like, "Oh, you're tiny baby," and everyone kind of moms you. And like it's good in some ways, and in some ways I'm just like I get it. Like I'm small. Um and but for real, yeah, sorry. Okay, yeah, we can
Yeah,
get
no,
back on topic about it.
sorry for derailing it, but like why specifically did you like move towards games?
Yeah, so kind of just it made sense. Like I don't even it was so like gradual and it like just made so much sense to me. So like growing up I would um being around all this art, I would make comics with my brother. We would just like yeah, we just draw random comics all day. In fact, I have a bunch of them still from my childhood. Maybe I'll do a stream sometime where I show those. It's so embarrassing. It's mostly like we like made our own Sonic characters and stuff. Like my brother and my cousin and I, we would just like make our own Sonic characters and like I would give mine powers. Like my guy was a dude with who could like shoot electricity. I was just like, yeah, that's way cooler than Sonic. He just goes fast. Uh, but and so like just kind of making this stuff, it kind of served as a stand-in for being able to make games. Like I would all the time I would like just like kind of like make like finger figures like just kind of like walk running around and stuff like that and pretending it's a video game and just like using my imagination a bunch, um just like wishing that one day I could make games, but it always seemed like this impossible inaccessible thing. Like I actually remember way back in the day just thinking to myself like, oh wow, you had to be some sort of mathematician to be able to make games. Like it seems so impossible. Like and like I would just sit down and try to fathom how video games are possible, um, and just like be unable to. But then one day when I was 13, I was playing around, just like procrastinating from some schoolwork or something. I discovered this game called Paradise Paintball, um, and I clicked the little like information button and saw that it was made in this engine called Unity, and I was just like, wait, hold on, like, uh, like give me more information. So I Googled it, and um, I was just like, wow, you can just download this for free, and it was like early, it was like 2.6, yeah, it was version 2.6, and like, uh, I just was mesmerized. I was just like, there's no way you can just like download this because like I had always been looking for programs to make games, but nothing was making sense. Like I don't know what else I downloaded it, but it was just stuff that like had basically no user interface. It was just like super abstract and like it was just unapproachable because just at the time, yeah, I had no context to understand like anything. But once I downloaded Unity, yeah, it was really like creatively liberating. I was just like, wow, I actually like understand what's happening here. Like of course at first I was like, it was a struggle, but like I was just like, this is a lot more accessible than I could have ever guessed. Um,
Never
I
thought it would be this.
I never thought it would be like yeah, like that, like just that accessible. Just as long as you like follow the tutorials close enough. I remember some of the first tutorials I went through was just like an FPS tutorial, like the really crappy one with like there was like an alien with a weird scream and like you had a rocket launcher. But like even like jankness aside, it was a really good learning tool. Um, and taught me a lot of just stuff that I still use to this day. And like I couldn't have known at the time what I would use it for, like what I would apply it to. Uh, but I just kind of really kept up with it just because it was interesting. Like there was nothing really driving me towards it other than the fact that it was interesting and it was fun and kind of it didn't seem like something that a lot of people were doing, and that kind of made it feel even more special to me. I was just like, dang, I feel like no one knows how to do this, like especially around here. So like, um, I just kept with it. I just kept making stuff and just like showing my friends, um, and just like the response, like just the first time someone was impressed by something I made, I was just like, whoa, this is an amazing feeling. Like I want to
And
make more
keep
of this
doing this.
happen. Yeah, I want to keep doing this because like why would I not? Um, and so yeah, it was so liberating. It was just like it's pretty much games are what I've been trying to do with pencil and paper for so long. Um, and the fact that I actually get to do it and not like pretend anymore. That yeah, that was like super liberating for me.
Um, so if you weren't making games, what would you be doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. That yeah, that's a huge question. Ooh, I don't know. Maybe I'd be a better programmer. Maybe I'd actually have like a programming job and like be making big bucks or something. uh, I it's so funny because like I can't really imagine myself in a normal job. Like kind of games were just what I was in from the start. Like my technical first job was like manning the front desk at my high school, just like answering phone calls and stuff like that. Just being at the front desk and just being like, hi, yeah, this room is over here this way. Like I just did that for a little bit. But yeah, it didn't really feel like a real job,
Yeah.
even though they would give me like a W-2 and all that. Um, and yeah, it didn't pay like huge amounts, but it was just like okay. Um, but yeah, my first like job was in a game studio, and I eventually became technical artist. Like at first, I was just like a little like a contractor, but then eventually became a full time employee, and it was just like really amazing to get that out of high school, like super unusual. Um, and I just like really vibed with it. I was just like, this is great. Like, this is kind of the position I want to be in. Like this, yeah, it's just super tight. But yeah, just like not having that normal job experience. Yeah, it was kind of weird. There's just like a lot of ways that I couldn't relate to just like other people and like my friends, like kind of going through stuff in their jobs. I'm just like, huh, is that what it's like? Like, there's just like so many times where, yeah, I just like didn't have that step in between of like having a really like crappy job for a few years and then just like kind of going towards what I love. Yeah, it's definitely just like a weird path to go down that like I don't even have the context for just like what normal is kind of like. Um, but yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I don't know. I can't really imagine myself like, um, like I don't know. I think about it sometimes, like, oh yeah, it would be nice to have just like a kind of simple, just like relaxing sort of job, like somewhere cute. Um, but yeah, I can picture myself pretty much only doing something in like technology or somehow involving art. Maybe I'd be a graphic designer or something.
You're doing something similar.
Yeah, I would definitely be doing something uh with visuals because I can't imagine like at least on the side like I can't imagine ever going without trying to make something visual because that's just been my whole life. It's just visuals.
No
maybe it'd be
fantasy
a
job is a goat herder.
say that again.
No fantasy job is like a goat herder in the Scottish Highlands or something.
It's
I don't know.
sadly, I mean, geez, that sounds like a good like side hustle. I can see, okay, I can see myself doing something wild in some wild location, but like I'll still be doing games like on top of that. Like I can see myself like being somewhere really pleasant and maybe doing something like as a side thing. Uh, but other than that, yeah, I don't know, just like maybe my SoundCloud rapper career would have started by now or something like that. I really can't say. But yeah.
I've noticed that you tend to seem to like collaborate a lot with people online. You used to talk about making like a Brockhampton style situation, which is like
Um
for people who aren't familiar with sort of the Brockhampton story, it was a bunch of people who met on I think a Kanye West forum
yep,
and
Kanye West fan forum.
like and then became like a rap group together, but they like lived together in like a terrible house that they bought together and like that kind
In
of
the
thing.
hood.
Yeah, like but they created stuff together and I was just curious like what is like your feeling still on like collaboration and like who are your favorite collaborators, like stuff like that.
Yeah, so at the time when I had that idea, I was kind of just blindly like excited about the concept, without even thinking practically about like how I would ever make that happen. Um, and so like I started really sort of investing in my Discord channel, um, and uh, just kind of like fostering that community because like what I kind of realized like the idea in my head kind of evolved like over time from what it was. It's just like you can't try exactly what Brockhampton did because like they I feel like they really saw the opportunity and really went for it. I feel like posting online like being like haha lol who wants to start a band and then it actually happening, like I feel like that's a super rare thing and it's like super easy to be like hey yeah let's do this cool idea and then like actually doing it. There's two like very different things. um and so like I've kind of been investing more in just um putting like setting myself up for something like that to maybe happen naturally rather than trying to like force it just like one day just being like all right yeah let's like start a band. Like I think I just want to like foster a community where like if that's what we want to do then like it kind of just doesn't feel like something that we're like stopping our lives to do. So it's something that like kind of we just like naturally like gravitate towards. um and that's been happening a little bit by like starting this Discord channel. um was just that like uh a lot of people just one day just like put a song up or something, be like hey I made this beat, and then someone else would be like whoa hey I made some visuals, can I like put these together and stuff like that. Or just like hey I'm having this like EP release, I need some art for it. um and then someone can just like hit me up and be like hey you have any time to make some art, and I'll be like oh yeah cool yeah I know the vibe of this exactly, I would love to make something for it. And that's how I made like my most recent art that I put on my blog. It was an album art for this album E-Waves, by someone in my Discord server, and it was really cool. I'd never like I had made album art before, but I've never like done a full like 3D render that looked that good, like just like fully like ray traced like stuff. Like it looked really cool, and I was just like huh wow this kind of like pushed me outside of my usual zone, and it kind of bettered my art. So I just really love anything that can kind of just like push you into doing something that you normally wouldn't do, or like a collab that you normally wouldn't. um and so yeah, I guess your question was kind of like just who are your like favorite collaborators.
Yeah, what is like what can be gained from collaboration and who are your favorite collaborators?
Yeah, Well, yeah, just like definitely you can gain just uh you'll start doing stuff that you normally wouldn't, is just what I've learned from collaboration. Like it's not until someone says like, "Oh yeah, we're looking for this kind of vibe," that you're like, "Oh, huh, I guess I do know how to make something like that." Whereas like we all have our own sort of tendencies and like just like artistic choices, but just working with someone else can really just get you outside of that and just make you discover a style that you just really didn't know you had. Um, and so yeah, I just really like collaborating with just anyone in my Discord. Doesn't matter if you have like 50 followers or just like a bunch. Like I just love kind of just like fostering that community and just being uh, like yeah, even if your stuff isn't getting a lot of plays, it's just like how do we get to that point? Is you just have to like kind of support each other until you get there.
How do
Um,
we grow and nurture together?
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. It's just like I don't want to just become this like echo chamber of just like really like famous people just like all supporting one another. It's just like okay, the person with like basically no followers, like no discovery at all, we got to get them up to speed too. Like just like if anyone's making stuff that's up your alley or like any way related to what you're doing. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a really good idea to just elevate those people. Um, yeah.
Um, oh, good.
Um, if I don't know if we wanted to like list specific collaborators or anything like
Oh,
that.
if you have people you want to shout out, like absolutely go ahead. This is a space where
Yeah,
you can do that.
absolutely. I feel like there's a
Because I
lot
know
of
that there's definitely people that you've worked with a bunch.
yeah, like a little bit there. I feel like there's people that I feel like there's more people that I want to work with, but like, and we've talked about it honestly, but it just like never happened. Oh my gosh, it's so many people like that on just like Twitter and all that. We're just like, yo, we gotta link sometime and make something, but then just like busy schedules and all that. I don't know. Maybe we need to do some quarantine collabs here. Like maybe that's what needs to happen. Uh,
Get some
but
of that quarantine productivity.
I'm saying. Um, but yeah, I've been let's see, I talked to let's see, Jaron Braxton, who makes just like dope stuff in Blender, makes just like these wild 3D renders, puts them to drum and bass and like just like other music, goes to a lot of like underground shows. Uh, yeah, just like DJs a lot. And I believe he did a music video for Alt J
Oh, cool.
uh, a while ago, and like I didn't even know that for a long time. I was just like, whoa. And he's had stuff like shown in Times Square through Giphy, I believe. Um, just like doing some really cool stuff and like has a super cool distinct style to it. Definitely look him up, Jaron Braxton. Um, we were talking about hitting up Julian Glander of Glander Co, who makes just like super bubbly, weird, like 3D comics, which is really cool. I don't often see like 3D stuff shown in a comic form. It's usually animations, which Julian does animations too, but like, yeah, just like sort of comic format for 3D render stuff. That I just thought that was really cool. And so, yeah, we talked about doing something before. Uh, I feel like the Sean Wasabi collab has to happen too.
It
Like
has to, right?
at
I
some
mean,
point, like I don't know, I don't. That's a busy boy, but just like I feel like at some point we just got to make that happen. Um, Gosh, I don't know. Ethan Red specifically. Like, when are we
Ethan
gonna do
Red is a
something?
busy boy.
Yeah, oh, definitely for sure. But the man has to make time to do something with it. We've been talking about it, so that's got to happen. Um, yeah, just anyone like that. A dream collaborator of mine is Igloo Ghost, who like noticed me on Twitter like a little bit ago, and I'm just like, yo, like please. And so we like we just like in
Wasn't
some
that the
tweet thread.
person where you were coming back from like South Africa and you were like, I have to go see this show, like, or something, like you had just come back from another country and you were like, but there's a show and I have to go see it within like 24 hours of arriving back from another
Yeah.
country. Isn't that
Yeah, yeah.
Mexico's?
Yeah, I was doing a show in Chicago, I believe, and I was just like, wow, I could totally just grab a megabus ticket and go there, but also I don't want to die because I'm so tired. Uh, and that's like a 5, 6 hour like bus
That would be
ride,
terrible.
and it's just like that's the last thing you do, like that's the last thing you want to do after getting back from another country.
Yeah.
Uh, but just like yeah, literally my favorite producer just like makes stuff that's unreal. Recently did this like crazy um just like reality what do you call it, like ARG games,
Hmm.
where you're just kind of like looking around for like clues and just like scouring the internet to like put this like puzzle together. Recently did one of those and I'm just like that's just so cool, like would love to like collaborate with someone just with a mind like that,
I
honestly.
mean, quarantine is the ideal time for an internet-based a game where you just scour the internet.
Yeah, yeah, it kind of chose the perfect time for that. And it just went like so deep, like there's so many layers to it. um and yeah, just yeah, stuff like that's awesome. I feel like I don't have the brain for that. Like I can make games, but I feel like putting together anything that like elaborate and like uh I feel like that's just like not my strength, and I'm just like wow, like how what would it be like to collaborate with someone where it's just like that kind of stuff like comes to them.
So I guess kind of in the same vein of that, like what is a creative work that has changed like you and how did it do so? Like
Hmm. Yeah, creative work that's kind of just like just one of those things that just uh
like hit you and you were just
influences
like,
the way you.
whoa.
I would say for that, for me, it was Marble Soda by Sean Wasabi. Like when I
Sounds
saw
good.
that, like it's just a YouTube video of a MIDI fighter routine. Just like Sean just like perfectly executing this song for like almost 5 minutes straight. And it's like it's a mashup of just a bunch of different songs, like a bunch of stuff that's circulated around SoundCloud, a lot of pop, and just making this amazing like mashup. And just like when I saw that, this was like 2016 or something like that. That really just that would like I feel like I've never been more influenced in that. It really just kind of showed me. I was just like, wow, this is really kind of what I'm trying to do. Like not exactly with music, but with games. Because it was mostly just the aesthetics behind it. Sean was super into this like colorful aesthetic that's just like really bright poppy colors, like bubbles, really soft sounds. And like just wearing like a lot of really loud colors and stuff. I was just like, wow, this is like so up my alley that I feel like I near about like plagiarized an entire style. Like, but like it really was kind of just the direction I was already going in because I was getting into like, my color is sort of mint green, and just kind of like I had started getting like discovering that color and just like finding more things and like making more art in that sort of color scheme and in that style. But when I saw kind of his work and his aesthetics and all that, I was just like, wow, this like I was looking for the uh, rest of the picture. I was looking for the rest of the style, and that it's sort of here. Like this is kind of it. Um, and it was amazing that I just hadn't really heard of him before that. Like I wasn't exactly late in discovering him, but like also I was just like, wow, this has been around for like a second. Like I'm really surprised I had never seen this before because it's exactly like what I was trying to do before. Like because like I had already started Noor at that point,
Yeah.
and like the game just matched the aesthetic star already. I was just like, what? Like how is it possible? Um,
These
and
things are
so
already so much of the same vibe.
Yeah, exactly. And it just shocked me that just coincidentally we had never just crossed paths before that moment. And so like I was just like, I have to get this person's attention because like I feel like the vibes are just like too perfect. And so that's when I made this video, this animation MIDI fighter simulator. Um, and it was a video where it's just parodying MIDI fighters. I 3D modeled a MIDI fighter and 3D modeled like a hand just kind of like slapping onto a MIDI controller. Um, and it was just great. It was just so like hilarious because it was just like, okay, like there's no way you can see this and not just be like, all right, what's going on? So I tweeted that at him, and he was just like, wow, like just like so blown away. It's just like, what is going on? And so yeah, he dug it, and ever since has been just like a huge supporter of Noor. Like he signal boosted the Kickstarter and all that, and just like yeah, it was just like so amazingly supportive. He's actually had them send me a MIDI Fighter 64 like after they like started mass producing them. Um,
And those
and
things are hard to get.
yeah, they're pretty expensive. They're pretty like I definitely couldn't have at the time like just went out and justified buying one. Um, and like so and it's weird like we just remained like just like really cool like internet acquaintances, and like it's like so busy, it's not like we have conversations all the time, but we're just like kind of just like from the sidelines just like supporting each other's stuff, just being like, yeah, like love what you're doing. And so yeah, it's a really interesting just like internet connection that we kind of have where yeah, we're just like from the sidelines, just like supporting each other's stuff. It's kind of yeah, it's really fun.
Um, how do you lay out like your creative process? What does that look like? If you can like lay that out at all.
Yeah, well, for Noor specifically, it usually starts at a restaurant. Like if we're being honest, like yeah, it usually starts like at a restaurant.
That's
Uh
fair.
which I miss restaurants right now. I really wish I really wish I could pay someone to cook me up a nice dish and present it in front of me, and and then I give them a tip and then go on about my day. Like I miss that as part of this quarantine. But anyway, yeah, it usually starts with uh just discovering some food that is really fun, like and what makes a food fun, I don't know, just sort of just the look of it, just how you go about eating it, like it's what makes like sushi a really fun food. It's just like, okay, this compact little bite, there's a bunch of like different textures and flavors going on, and you pick them up with chopsticks, which like it's just like that's if that's not something you grow up with, it's super like novelty. You're just like, whoa, like um just like picking up this like tiny little object just like full of just different flavors and stuff, and just like eating it. It's yeah, I don't know, it's just something about it is so inspiring and so different from just like what you find in just American foods.
Yeah.
um and just kind of finding out just different playful ways to eat, kind of it just like gives you a lot of inspiration, and that it definitely gave me a lot of inspiration of just like when like traveling and stuff like that, just sort of discovering new foods, and like discovering things like yeah, just like revolving sushi bars, and just like Korean barbecue and stuff like that, just like discovering the just the play of food. And so when I kind of have those ideas just like full in my brain, um I typically in my creative process, I don't do a lot of prototyping. I don't do a lot of people call it like programmer art, where you're just like using primitives, just like blank cubes and stuff like that. I don't do a ton of that. For me, I usually just go straight for the art, because since I'm so about the visuals, I'm just like, if an idea doesn't look pretty, then usually it isn't worth like pursuing for me. So it's
Yeah.
just like I have to make sure that it looks pretty first. Which like I feel like that goes against a lot of people's workflows, is like especially in games, this like art is usually like a final pass thing. Like you usually make things with ugly cubes and stuff like that, and just like put it together, make sure it like functions, and then you put the like pretties on top of that. But I kind of work, yeah, I definitely work backwards. I
Yeah,
sort of
make
like
it pretty
3D
first.
model. Yeah, exactly. I make the 3D model, I give it at least a good enough looking texture, or at least a color and a shader. Um, and then like kind of after that, then I see what I can do with the programming to, because like if you kind of have to make the movement of the object fit the art. Like it's like if it's gonna look semi realistic, or I don't know, it has to act like it feel, or act like it looks. So like say like I have like meat in the scene, like I have a slab of meat that's in the game. um when it falls, I feel like it has to like bend accordingly. It can't just be like a static object that just like doesn't deform at all. So I feel like once I get the visual, I have to get that part working next, because I'm just like I look at it and I'm just like, oh huh, like I bet I can make it do this without breaking any of the visuals that are going on.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of my process, is yeah, just like starts off with a just like visual in my head, and then I try to get it as close to that as possible in the first pass, without like kind of sketching it out, because it's like I want to do it before the visual kind of fades away. Like sometimes I'll like um find reference images and just like kind of put them in an artboard or something, and like that kind of serves as my like sketching it out. But beyond that, it mostly just happens in my head, and I just like try to get it out as much as I can, like as fast as I can, I guess.
It makes sense to me. I mean, I've also, you also post a lot about like what you're doing. Like, here's a piece of toast. I have put the piece of toast on a scanner. I have scanned the piece of toast.
Yep, yep, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I I will sample a lot of actual foods, and it's actually great because a lot of the workflows nowadays just really allow for um, using just like real textures, and I found a lot of ways to do so. So yeah, like I'll either with my phone just like take a pic, like I'll order. I remember for the burger scene, I ordered a burger, and then like for takeout, and then like once I got it home, I just like dissected it and put like every part of it just like kind of out on a plate, and took my phone over it and like photographed it. Which like iPhone cameras are like perfect for textures, like something about how they capture details, like even better than like actual like DSLR cameras. Like something about iPhones really captured like up close detail. Um, and so yeah, I would use that to sort of get these textures, and then I would process them. I would make bump maps, specular maps, or just like uh, whatever I need, and I can just bring that right into Unity. And because there's such a push for um, what physically based rendering, and um, making things based on like making all the default values like photoreal, it really makes it easy to bring those kind of textures in and like have them actually look good. Um, because yeah, just like by default, all the default settings, it really makes it yeah, just like kind of all the values are like within a realistic range, and any tweaking you do beyond that will is just like to your taste or to your style. Um, and
They
so
are
yeah,
photoreal because they are photos.
yeah, and they're photos. So like as long as you can get the angles right, yeah, you can just kind of do anything with it. And I love gosh, I feel like my favorite tool when doing texturing is just the spot heal brush in Photoshop. Like for game textures, it's just so perfect. You just like see some part that kind of breaks the texture, and you just like just little take a pin and just do a little dot over it, and it just fixes it automatically. It's literally magic. Like love love algorithms. Bless bless algorithms.
Plus Adobe and
Yeah.
Body Brush.
Also, well, kind of bless Adobe. I also hate Adobe sometimes, but also Thanks, Adobe.
In this specific instance.
In this specific instance, thanks, Adobe.
From the outside, you seem to be really savvy on social media. Is there anything specifically that you are doing there? Or how important is your social media presence in general to what you're doing, or are you just like naturally very good at it?
Gosh, where did it come from? I think it just my social media presence kind of just came from being empowered by folks being there and like yeah, just folks being there to
'Cause I
hear
know
what I
you
have to say.
exploded over the course of me following you. Because I remember
Yeah,
following
you
you
were one of the
and you didn't.
OG like followers. We were homies before all this like went down. Um
I don't
yeah,
remember because I remember you didn't have like no. It wasn't like I was like top first like 20 or something, but we had not comparable. I think you always had slightly more, but I think you have some astronomical amount of people following you now. I don't
it
know.
definitely blew up at some point. It was two things that did it. It was in 2016 I did a no 2017 I did a video interview with Polygon. Um and I just happened to have like just all my colorful aesthetics on. It was so funny. It was a complete accident. I didn't even intend to like look this flashy on camera, but just one day I was just really feeling my outfit. I was just like, ooh, wait, hold on, we have this windbreaker that I just bought, and then we have this like shirt that my friend gifted to me, and then
It
um
was a good look.
it was honestly such a look, like, and it was the first time I was wearing it too. Like that wasn't really even a thing before that happened. Like just kind of everything just happened to just happened on this one day. Yeah, I just my friend offered me some glitter, and I was just like, okay, I'll just like put this on my face, like why not? And I actually forgot I had that video interview that day, because like before I came to GDC that year, I tweeted out I had tweeted out a gif of the noodles just like falling in a bowl. I was just like, hey, if you want to play Noor, come and find me. And just yeah, someone at Polygon saw that and I was just like, yo, like we're interested. Let's do a little interview on this. And so yeah, it was kind of crazy. Like I thought nothing of it at the time, but then I was just like sitting at work one day and just like doing my thing. Um, and then my phone just like started blowing up, like Twitter just started going like scrolling faster than I can like see it. I was just like, what is happening? And then I checked it. I like refreshed on Twitter and I had like 3,000 followers in like the course of
Jesus.
20 minutes. And I was just like, oh, the interview must have come out, didn't it? Like that must be what I just like put it together. And then like
Oh.
I finished up what I was doing and then watched it. And I was just like, huh, wow. I like how this came across. Dang, they really edited this, and wow. Um, yeah, it was just like a really crazy moment. And uh, the from then on, like I don't know, just it was hard to even keep up with just what was happening. It was honestly, I feel like it was almost too much at the time, or like I didn't even know how to like really utilize that at the time. Like I was kind of just there for the ride. um and so things have definitely like died down because it was definitely like a more 15 like minutes of fame type situation. Like it's
Yeah.
definitely like calmed down a bit. Like I was getting like so many like asks on Tumblr because that was a thing at the time. uh just like yeah, it was just so much, and like I didn't really know how to keep the engagement up because it was really overwhelming at the time. Like those followers are still there and they are waiting for like the next big blow up to happen. Um, but yeah, just kind of in the meantime, it's just kind of about like um, keeping myself healthy and like just making sure I'm making good progress on the game. Um, and and like yeah, just like doing what I can on social media until I'm ready for my next thing, which I guess will be when the game comes out. Is just like that's when I at least hope things will kind of blow up again.
Yeah.
um but yeah, I would say that it's just it's such a weird thing that I try to like put my personality into what I do online, and like that just like really paid off. Was a lot of people in games, I feel like a lot of games rather, like don't really have a face behind them, and I find that kind of interesting because like when you think about other mediums, so just like there's movies where it's just like, yeah, they have their name in front of the title, like the David Cameron's Avatar or something like that. It's just like it's interesting that we don't do that in games. And like uh music artists, like sometimes the image is more important than the sound. Like sometimes the music's trash, and but they just have a really loud personality on social media, so like millions of people
They've
are
got
there
that
for
good music video.
yeah, yeah, yeah. If you have just like a good music video and you just like bring the energy that people are looking for, sometimes that makes it even more than your product alone. And so I think that it's just like an important part of what you're doing that I feel like a lot of games people kind of not sometimes overlook, but sometimes don't even want, which is like completely fair. Where a lot of us are introverts. Like I'm kind of an introvert. I just like but like it's okay
Just a
to do that
well-dressed
too.
one.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm like I'm definitely come out my shell a lot more than just like through kind of all these like the blow up and just like all this, like definitely have been coming out of my shell more. But like yeah, I used to be so shy. Like I used to be just like so like like just like to myself, and in a lot of ways still feel like I am. I've not much changed for me when the quarantine kind of happened. I was just like, oh well, I guess I'll just stay in my house longer.
I mean, I've met you in person. Like you are very, very quiet in person.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, it's just
like
yeah, like and around the right people, like I can be super loud and energetic, but it's just like
yeah,
it's just not something. It's not my default state by any
yeah.
means. Um, and
You're
yeah,
just a
just
very quiet person who happens to wear bright purple.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like,
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much me. But yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. Uh, what, I think I was gonna say something about oh yeah, yeah. I don't know. That's pretty much my point. Is just like, yeah. It's like it's okay to be that like introverted person. Like not everyone needs to be like this pop star icon behind their like whatever thing they're making. Um, a lot of people would just much rather have their work speak for them, and I respect that. Like that's tight. Like just that's how you want it, then just like yeah, you can just have a game with like and just have your kind of so like your personal life and your kind of persona just be sort of more anonymous. Like that's cool too. But I just think that that human element like really resonates with people. It's just kind of like, oh hey, like a person made this, and just if someone's trying to get into it and they see like your face and they see like, oh hey, wow, like this is a black person making games, this is like just whatever representation uh that you have, because I know if I saw that early on, that would have encouraged me even more. If it's just like, oh hey, like if I saw someone like in a Miyamoto sort of place, but with dark skin, I would have been like, yo, that's tight. Like I would have believed in myself even more when
yeah.
pursuing it. So yeah, I don't know, it's important.
I mean, yeah, that's the point of representation. The idea, the ability to see yourself in other people allows you the ability to believe that you can that you can be in those places as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's inspiring and it has a ripple effect that you can't even predict.
Well, We had other questions, but you were so good at answering the ones that we already had that we've also run out of time.
Yeah,
So,
that's why I was looking at that. I was like, oh wow, I must have spent some time on some of those questions.
but that's okay because you did really good answers, and I really appreciate you spending the time talking to us. We can do the last question, which is the most important, which is, are there any specific places that people can go and find out more about you and the work that you do?
Yeah. So terrifyingjellyfish.com, that's literally the name of my LLC. It's really interesting when I go into banks and stuff, they're just like, yeah, what do you do? Like, what is that? Yeah, terrifyingjellyfish.com. I'm on Twitter under TJ Ramen Emoji. Uh, you can underscore TEJAY5. Um, but yeah, if you go to terrifyingjellyfish.com, everything's linked. I've been really getting into Instagram recently. That's kind of been my latest foray. Yeah, you can find me there. Just like I always post some art. I try to do dev streams. I finally got my like kind of setup working again with a new computer, and so I'm gonna be trying to do some more streams during this quarantine. Catch me there.
You have a great cat. You're a great dude. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for
thank you.
joining us.